Konnichiwa. Dori
Do not worry, I speak English. Now, if you're looking for the bathrooms, it's on the left to Space Mountain. And be sure to change your currency into yen. Have a good day.
Domo arigato.
Stupid question. You never know.
Oh, fish patties.
Well, you didn't tell you.
Oh, it's because I'm in Japan. The food's different here.
Or you'll see.
Guess I'll have to settle for a shrimp sandwich.
It would say two.
Go.
So
when did Tokyo Disneyland open?
1983, and it had its 10th million guests in 1984.
How does it differ from the American Disneyland?
Well, there's really not a difference. There's not much difference between Tokyo Disneyland and American Disneyland. Since Tokyo Disneyland was duplicated from the American Disneyland, which is an example of acculturation. However, the Oriental Land Company owns Tokyo Disneyland, and it had a little more money, so it expanded. And so Tokyo has more restaurants, bathrooms, we all need those, restaurants, parks, and hotels. It also has Tokyo Disneyland Resort and Disney Sea. Disney Sea! Disney Sea is kind of like an example of localization, because Japan is surrounded by the ocean. The Disney company was able to make Disney less foreign, more familiar, and locally diverse. The restaurants, even though they serve primarily Western food, also provide rice and sandwiches with seafood, patties. There are cultural differences that make Tokyo Disney's authentic.
Do you think people from America could easily get through the park without speaking Japanese?
Certainly. The guest service there all speak English. And like everyone who works there is either American or English. I'll give you some tips on how to get through though. Well, always carry some yen. So if you don't have yen, exchange your money, American money, or any other money, to yen. And you can do that at the guest services at the Disneyland Resort. Like you just walk in, and when you buy your tickets, you say, can I exchange some money for yen? And then take some of that yen, this is a good tip, go to one of those handy little dandy Japanese vending machines and buy a nice Japanese drink. This is cow piss. It's delicious. And then, after you do that, well, then you'll get your ticket. This is a great ticket to have. Oh, and on the way to Disneyland, you can either pay to get to Disneyland, or you can buy these really handy little dandy Suica cards. See this? You go to the train, walking in, bam, swipe, you're in the train. And then this train takes you all the way to Disneyland, and you're there in a flash. So, enjoy those tips.
Well, thank you. Domo arigato.
Oh, domo arigato.
Wow, it's Mickey Mouse playing the drums.
Whoa, I didn't know they celebrated Chinese New Year and Disney.
Neither did I.
You wanna go ride some rides now?
Sure. 1 hour later.
That was so not thrilling.
I know. It must be that because Asian people don't really like thrills.
Ugh, it's not like the other Disneys at all.
I know. Maybe we should come back later when it's more developed. After all, it only started building in 2005.
Maybe.
Go.
So, give me some background about Hong Kong Disney.
Well, Hong Kong Disney was built on the 12th of September in 2005. And it was really small and it's really hard to expand. But it will be the fastest Disney to expand later because it will only take 15 years.
So, interesting. What are some similar things that the Hong Kong has in relation to Disney and the US?
Well, they've kept most of the same rides, even though they're not as thrilling, but they've kept Space Mountain, and they've also made Main Street USA, even though you're in Hong Kong, and they've kept the buildings wood, even though most buildings in Hong Kong are built out of stone.
What are some distinct differences?
Well, most of the food is Asian. It has more Chinese to keep the authenticity, and there's less of rides there because it's new and stuff, but there's also they've also tried to incorporate a lot of local diversity, and they've even had a show that says how Mickey Mouse came to Hong Kong and how, but they've also done different stuff to keep the local diversity, but they've had a really hard time trying to develop this one because most people in Hong Kong didn't grow up with Disney.
What are some customs that visitors must know before going?
Well, you must remember not to hold people's eyes too long because that shows disrespect. You also want to change your currency to RMB or else you won't get anywhere. Unlike the Japanese, most people like to stick with Cantonese instead of speaking English and Mandarin even though they can.
Thank you, Gigi.
You're welcome.
We
再见.
appreciate you being here.
Come visit Hong Kong Disney soon.
Wow, so much beautiful architecture.
And so many great quality restaurants.
Let's go to the Phantom Manor.
Yeah, since it's Halloween.
D'esto se cous de minuet a matines sonates nos valserons, ensemble macabre debutante.
That is the scariest haunted house I've ever been in.
Yeah, but it's still a great architecture.
I know.
What's some background information on Disney Paris?
This is the first out-of-country Disney resort they built, and was opened in 1992 after the one in Florida. It is by far the largest one out of country and has many rides and shows. There were financial issues in the beginning due to controversies, but began to make a lot of profits after 2009.
What are the similarities between this Disney and the one in the US?
Most of the rides and shows are the same. They've kept the Rainforest Cafe in Disney Paris, which is like acculturation. Most of the food is very similar, as well as the way of transport.
What are the major differences?
Climate will be a huge difference. Both Florida and California are warmer than France during most seasons. This will cause a lack of a water-themed park. All hotels have to be on the grounds, and the food is more refined. The architecture is also much more detailed and elaborate.
What are some customs that some foreigners must remember?
When entering a shop, be sure to greet the shop owner with a bonjour, good morning, or bonjour, good night. Add with a monsieur, madame. Don't go around kissing people, even though you see it all the time. Kisses are reserved for the close friends and family. Also, change your currency into euros.
Merci for being here, madame, and au revoir.
De Rennes. Visit Disney Paris soon.